You've frequently visited Manila, and I remember you've even played here, and you played against some of our legends. And one of
Yes,
the guys that you've often talked about was Allan Caidic. I'm just
the trigger
wondering,
man.
yeah, I'm just wondering where do you put Allan Caidic against the players that among the best shooters that you faced, and even today in today's NBA.
I listen, Trigger. That's my man. Allen, he's my man. I tell you, when we had the opportunity to come there and play, some of the NBA players, and he's definitely a top notch shooter. You have to put him in the top of the class, especially because he went out there and at his age, he went on and put on a show when it comes to shooting, and I can only imagine seeing him play in his prime. So I would have to say that he's up there with all the shooters. When you talk about the Larry Birds, you talk about the Glen Rices and the Steph Currys and whatnot. He's definitely going to feel at home in that group.
You've complimented Kobe and Shaq well in that title run in 2000, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah,
fast forward right now, the Lakers have two of the best stars in LeBron and Anthony Davis. But the team is, quite struggling in the bubble right now. Who do you think should step up for the Lakers outside LeBron and AD?
Well, I think you mentioned two future Hall of Famers there in LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
I think in any run to a title, role players got to step up. You have Kuzma with the addition of J.R. Smith and also a few other guys. I think it's going to be a collective effort by the role players because just having JR do it, and I know they added Dion Waiters as well. Those two are they're exceptional offensive players. I would say J.R. Smith is a much better defender. I think those two guys they got to get acclimated a lot sooner than they would in a normal situation because once again the whole bubble thing is new to everybody. Without the fans, that's a new aspect to the game of basketball in the NBA this latter part of the season. So it's a lot of things that's got to click much faster than the norm. And I think they, with what LeBron and AD has to have happen is a lot of the role players got to catch on to the system much faster than norm. And if they can do that, I think the Lakers will be fine. I know they're not looking like the team that finished up before COVID, but I think they'll get back on track.
Just want to know who of the players so far in the bubble have impressed you the most? Probably give at least three names and why so far.
Well, I think I mean you always got it. You always know about the superstars, the big hitters, LeBron, AD. You got the Greek Freak. I think the one guy who has impressed me a lot is Portland. Dame time.
Yeah.
He's been remarkable. I think everyone else has kind of been playing below average of what we've seen during the course of the season this year. Obviously, our superstars, they're going to turn it around. They just got to get into the groove. I'm always loving what the Miami Heat is always doing. I think when you look at the Miami Heat, defensively, they're going to bring it like no other team that's in the bubble this year. So for me, I don't think there is not even a few without the me mentioning Dame time that has really stepped up the way that I know they can step up. I think some need just a little bit more time to get back into rare form, so to speak, and we'll start seeing exciting basketball from our superstars.
I just want to ask about your thoughts on the bubble right now, how this can be a standard for sports leagues around the world, especially the ones that are hit by COVID. And at the same time, just a hypothetical question, can you imagine yourself playing in the bubble if you were still playing?
Well, I think it's a little harder for me to imagine because I'm not in it right now. But at the same time, I mean, I take my hat off not just to the players, but to the whole NBA staff and everyone because this is something different. It's something that you're stationary, which we're not used to seeing the NBA do, and also you're playing without fans there, which you have grown accustomed to throughout your career. But I do think that they have done an exceptional job. I mean, to be able to go out and play in the bubble like they have under the circumstances, and still having the awareness of uh, COVID-19, I think they've done a tremendous job. If I was in this day and age playing, I would buy into the system and do what we had to do to play basketball, and two things. More importantly, to continue to be safe and to give our fans and the world something to be able to relax and enjoy watching.
You mentioned that this bubble setup was something foreign to all of us. So in the perspective of an NBA champion, because you always hear that the this year's NBA champions would have this sort of asterisk beside their name. So do you think the current situation would affect how you actually see the eventual champions of this 2019-20 season?
I think you will see a lot of people seeing something different, perhaps having that asterisk. But I think more importantly, people need to realize what they need to realize is that this is different, and I'm talking about it in a positive way because when you have what's going on around everyone, and everyone has come together and tried to maintain, I guess, sort of a safe lifestyle in the bubble, and then at the same time, stay aware of what's going on outside the bubble, and perhaps the new nuances that can go in as far as Kobe creeping in there. I think if you can get if you can get a champion out of everything that's going on, that's real easy to distract you from basketball. I mean, I think that's a huge plus for these guys. I think that just goes to show you how determined and how focused that they were, because this is something that we've never seen in sports. And to crown a champion in this kind of environment right now, I think that says a lot about the players and the coaches who go out there and do what they got to do.
Do you think that the situation makes it ripe for first round upsets because of the lack of home court advantage? And second, can you just explain to us how physically taxing it is to have to play a playoff game and then fly out to another city right after? Thank you.
Yep. To answer your first question, I do think that right now is a prime opportunity for teams to sneak up on other teams. I think when you have some of the teams, and we were talking about the Lakers earlier, who have added different players, I think it's going to take them a little longer to gel, to come together and play as a cohesive unit. And being in the playoffs, you got to be on that like right away. So when you have teams that come together much quicker, who sometimes teams overlook and who have taken care of business outside of when the league was kind of postponed, there's an opportunity for them there, and they realize that. So it could be a couple of upsets. So we just got to wait and see. And I think preparation is always key when you're in the run for a championship, regardless if it was now or when I was playing back in late 80s, 90s run. If you're not prepared, not focused, and you're not together 100% as a team, things aren't going to work out in your favor. So you got to go out there and you got to put everything out on the line.
Can I just ask, what do you think is the importance of enough bench veterans, especially when you've had Channing Frye, David West, and then now Jared Dudley keeping the team together, even though they don't get as much minutes? Yeah.
I think you said you're speaking on veterans, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Because I kind of lost you there.
Yeah.
Okay. I think more than any time ever, veteran leadership at this particular time is super important. Number one, basketball. Well, not basketball should never be number one in what we're going through now. But number one, with being in the bubble and dealing with a situation outside the bubble, such as COVID, veterans really need to continue to keep stepping up, showing their leadership and keeping everybody focused and together. When you're in a playoff run, championship run, or any kind of run, that leadership has to be intact, regardless. In order to be successful, you got to have good leaders, just not at the top, but from the top to the bottom. The more leaders and the better leaders that you have, as far as them keeping everyone in tune and in focus with what's going on, the better your chances are to be successful in your goals. So veterans are a big plus now, especially like I said with what we're dealing with now, and uh, hopefully each veteran on each team step up to the task.
Considering you're one of the best small forwards in the 90s, a big guy
Oh,
who can
thank
shoot.
you.
Yeah, I used you in NBA Live 2001.
Thank you.
Considering you can post up, you can shoot, you can operate in the mid range. Do you think how many All Star games you would have racked up in this NBA, in this much less physical NBA?
Wow, that's a great question. We always sit back and try and figure out how we would fit into the system now, and I think I'd fit in well. I think, like you said, because the physicality of the game is a lot less than when I played. I think there's a lot of aspects of the game that I can take advantage of more so now than back then. And again, like when you mentioned shooting. I'd love to go out there and average shooting about 10 to 15 3-pointers a game. I'm pretty sure I'd hit a high percentage and it look good, and that'll enhance my chances of making a continuous All-Star game. So to be able to just dream about being in this situation is mouth-watering. So I could go on and say probably I would have to say maybe 3 or 4 more All-Star games will be added to my list.
Do you have any final words before we sign off? We're technically done with the availability.
Well, I mean, I would just like to say, look, the NBA has worked hard, like we've been going over and over under the circumstances with COVID-19. The NBA has done a tremendous job on trying to bring basketball back to the world. And being in the bubble right now is the safest place for you to enjoy the show. It's going to be a good show. It's definitely going to be different. But I think that it's the type of medicine that everyone needs right now, and we just got to keep praying that everyone stays safe. I cannot wait to get back to the Philippines. So I want to just say hi to all my Filipino fans, and look to see me in the near future.